Hi, I'm back again. And I got hungry. And I was trying to think of what do I have in my house already that I can fix me some dinner with without a big fuss. And that I don't have to go to the store and buy something else. Have you ever been that way? You know, when you wanted something to eat but you weren't sure what you wanted to eat and weren't sure if you had the ingredients to fix it? Well, that's kind of the way I have been today. So, just bear with me here a minute. Because what I'm getting ready to do, I'm going to make me some homemade chicken noodle soup with basically ingredients you already have. So let's get this over here. I'm going to basically just remember here a couple of weeks ago I roasted some chicken quarters out on the grill and I froze some of them. And some of them I used at the time. And I want this juice that comes out of this chicken in my soup. Woo! Well, I guess I can just, because I let it get a little too hot in the microwave when I defrosted it. So it's a little bit hot to the touch. But that's what I do with my chicken quarters. You know, if I cook them all at one time, sometimes if I'm going to grill them, I'll just put them all out on the grill and roast them and then freeze part of them, and then I'll think of something to do with them later. Right now what I'm going to do is basically debone my chicken. And like I said, it is a little hot. And if you don't want the skin or any part of the fatty part on it, just take that off. I've got a little bowl over here that I'm saving all the little remnants that I don't want in my soup. The rest of it I'm just going to throw in the pot. You can chop it up, you can pull it apart, make it smaller. That's totally up to you. The size of your pieces is not important. And I don't know what you can see over here, but all I'm doing is pulling my chicken off of the bone here. And I'm getting the skin off of it because I don't want the skin in my soup. Now, if it's cooked really good, then I don't mind putting the skin in there. But this is just 2 pieces of chicken right here. And it'll make a big pot of soup. You know, when you go buy chicken soup, chicken noodle soup, there's not very much chicken in that soup. When you make it yourself, you get a lot more chicken in there. I guess I've been advertising chicken quarters too much. They went from like $4.76 up to $5 something when I was in Walmart the other day. So I guess the prices went up. Being a little bit more of a demand. I got to eat this piece. I'm hungry, y'all. And this will be actually a roasted chicken noodle soup. Because my chicken was roasted on the grill. It's got that smoky flavor to it. Whew, this is a little hot. And I'm sure after you cook it in the pot a little bit more, after you've separated it from the bone, it'll cook a tiny bit more. A lot of the flavors will get into the broth of the soup. And usually when you defrost anything, and if you do like I did, you defrost it a little bit too long, there's usually liquid that comes out of the meat and it ends up in the bag. Don't throw that away, put it in your pot, because that's all the flavor of the roasted chicken that you want in your soup. Look like a bone, but it's not. Yeah, there's a lot of chicken on just 2 pieces of chicken on the bone. And I'm putting that good juice right in my soup. And I don't mean to get in front of the camera, but let me move the camera over here to this side. You might see a little bit better what I'm doing, maybe. I'm not sure, but you might. I've got all my ingredients right here. But I am going to put some water in my pot as soon as I get this chicken grease off my fingers. You know, I always get my fingers and my hands into everything, so I'm constantly washing my hands off in my dishpan. There, I put 4 cups of water in there. I may add more later. I'm not sure. It just depends on how much cooks out as I cook it all together. And there's my bone scraps. I put those aside. Don't need those. Now, first I'm going to add some chicken bouillon, instant bouillon it's called. It's just in powder form. And I'm just going to put a couple of teaspoons of it in there. I'm going to add just a couple of shakes of celery salt because I don't have celery to put in there. Maybe, yeah, just shake it in there. Probably about a half a teaspoon, a little more. I'm going to put onion powder because I'm not chopping onions up in it. I'm just going to put onion powder. And I'm going to put a little bit, well, I don't want the garlic salt. I want my garlic. Let me get my garlic. And I'm going to use my garlic powder in this, not my crushed garlic. I'd rather use the powdered garlic, I think, in my soup anyway. Should be plenty. Just shake in what you want. Give that a stir. I mean, this is a quick and easy soup if you've got your roasted chicken. If you had any chicken frozen, or say you buy a roasted chicken at the store, well, my holder here is not cooperating. If you buy a roasted chicken, say at the store, and you want to make a great big pot of soup, say you've got a large family to feed, and you want to make soup out of that roasted chicken, just get you a great big pot. It would take a bigger pot than this, and start adding, pull your chicken off of the bone, throw it in your pot, and start adding your ingredients, your spices and everything. Now basically what I'm going to do is bring this to a boil, because I want those spices to kind of get to know one another, as I call it, and we'll go from there. And I'm always leaning on my counter, aren't I? My favorite pastime is to lean on my counter in my kitchen. Got that stirred up a little bit, so I'm just going to taste the broth, because mind you, my chicken is already cooked. That is right on. Don't need anything else in there. Now I like a thick soup. Some people like a real soupy one. You can add as much broth to your soup as you want. Like I said, I like a thicker soup. Unless I'm sick or something, and then I basically just want the broth. But I'm not sick, so I want a thick soup. And that's what I'm fixing here, is a thick soup. And I may even add another spoonful of my chicken bouillon, about another teaspoonful. And I know that was a tablespoon, but you notice I did not fill it up. I've even done this with leftover fried chicken. Like a chicken breast that you don't want to do anything with, and maybe you think it's a little dry, you don't want to eat it, so just pull the crust off, break up the chicken breast itself, or chop it up and throw it in your pot to make your soup. Add your other ingredients and your spices, and you got the makings of your chicken soup. Like I say, I'm going to bring this to a boil before we do anything else to it. But this is, kind of what they did years ago when they cooked a meal. Sometimes they didn't have all the ingredients that maybe normally you would put in a meal, and they'd come up with something quick and easy, like a big pot of stew or soup, and they'd find whatever they had on hand in the kitchen that they could put in that dish that would work, and they'd make them a chicken soup. So that's what I'm doing. Bring you over here so you can kind of see what it looks like in the pot. It's not boiling yet, but it's starting to. So guess what I'm going to put in it? I've got leftover lasagna noodles from when I did my crock pot lasagna about a week ago. So I'm going to use some of my leftover lasagna noodles in my chicken soup. And you can use any kind of pasta you want. I'm just going to crumble this up a little bit the best I can. Doesn't matter that it's not uniform pieces. It doesn't matter at all. Just break it up. You can use macaroni noodles. You can use shell noodles. Any kind of noodles you've got. And I don't break them up in little tiny pieces, but I do break them up in kind of small pieces. Because it's not lasagna chicken, it's going to be soup. It may not even take all of these lasagna noodles in it. And if it doesn't, I'll just save them, and I think it will, though. I really do. I think it's going to take all of them that I had left, which wasn't many. Have to be careful when you break them. They don't fly all over your kitchen like they're doing mine here. Some people like to put veggies in their chicken noodle soup. I'd rather just have the noodles this time. I don't think I want to add vegetables, but it's an option. You can even take spaghetti noodles and break them to the length you want, a shorter length, just like I'm breaking these lasagna noodles, and throw them in there, and that could be your noodles for your chicken soup, a spaghetti pasta, because noodles are all basically the same ingredient. They're just different shapes, different sizes. It's like different strokes for different folks. I'm gonna have to gather up all these pieces of noodle and get them off of my counter and the floor. But now we're basically going to cook it. Cook the pasta in there. I just dropped several pieces in the floor. Go away. Yeah, if you've got frozen peas, carrots, any of that stuff you can throw in there. You know what? I may just throw me a handful of peas and carrots in there. I've got some frozen ones. I had a bag that I opened to put in something else the other day. So why not? Why not just throw a few in here? Doesn't take many. And I still got probably about a cupful of them left in the bag that I can use for another dish. It's just going to lengthen the cooking time because they are frozen and it's cooling the water down. You see, I didn't put much in there, just a handful. Some people may want to put potatoes in there. I don't like putting potatoes in my chicken soup. Now, I like it in my beef soup, but I don't really care for it in my chicken soup. But you can do what you want. You know, it's your soup. But don't that look good? I mean, it's starting to look real good, I think. But we still got to let that pasta cook, which it's not going to take it long. You see, I've left my chicken in big chunks. I mean, you can put it in smaller pieces. It's up to you. It's your soup. I mean, you know, the soup is for me. I don't care. I'll eat the big pieces or I'll eat the small ones. I just didn't want to take the time to just cut it all up. So this is fine for me. And the reason I said I may need to add water is because with the pasta, you know, it absorbs your broth. So it may, I don't want it to absorb all the broth. I want some broth left in my soup. So therefore I may have to add a little bit of water. That's going to be some good soup there, y'all. And you can see just 2 pieces of chicken deboned is going to make this whole pot of soup. I could add more broth. I could add more vegetables and make a whole pot of soup. I don't want that much. I'm just making like a half a pot. But you've got enough chicken in there that you can make a full pot of soup with it. Just add more pasta and more veggies. And those vegetables do have to cook a little bit too because they're usually like flash frozen. So they're about half raw when they're frozen, so you do have to finish cooking them. My poor AC is just running, 109 degrees today. So it's too hot to do anything outside. Way too hot. I wish you could smell this soup. It smells so good. Yeah, you don't have to use just one certain noodle for chicken noodle soup. You can use any of the pastas you have in your house or any in the store that you'd want to buy. Elbow macaroni, shell macaroni, bow macaroni, spaghetti noodles, any of it. Thin noodles, thick noodles. Because like I said, it's all pasta, it's just a different shape. It's basically cooked the same way. And the veggies are up to you. I like the corn, the carrots, and the peas in my soups if I add veggies to it. That basically makes it a roasted chicken vegetable soup, which is going to be good. Because that added roasted flavor just adds something to the soup. Wanted to try a small piece of the pasta and see how it's coming along. Woo! Just jump right out of that pot, y'all. It needs to be cooked some more. It's only about half done. I can't tell you how many times the only type of pasta noodle I had in the house was a pound of spaghetti. So I took the spaghetti noodles and I didn't use the whole pound. I used maybe a third of the box. And I broke them up into strips about that long, 2 or 3 inches. And I threw it in my soup. And that was my noodles. And it worked out real good. It looks so good. I'm going to add just another cup of water. So that was 5 cups of water total that I added. And that's just because I know some of that pasta is going to soak up some more of the water, the broth. And I don't want my soup to be dry. But don't you think that's looking good? Look at the color of the broth. And that's from that roasted chicken. So that's a quick and easy meal. You know, if you have leftover roasted chicken from some time you've roasted it on the grill, pop it in the freezer, freeze it, and some evening when you decide you want some chicken noodle soup, pull you a package of that roasted chicken out, debone it, throw it in your pot, add your seasoning, add your chicken broth, and then any kind of pasta you have in the house. Whatever you have, just break it up and make it in small pieces and throw it in your soup. How easy is that? It's not rocket science. I bet you never thought about throwing lasagna noodles in soup just by breaking them up. But why not? Why not? That's looking so good, y'all. I can't wait to eat a bowl of it. I'm getting hungry. It's right at supper time and I'm getting hungry. But that's the way you can make even a whole roasted chicken go a long way, because you don't have to put that whole chicken in a pot to make soup. Take out the bony parts that has very little meat. Use those sections. You still have plenty of meat to make a soup with it. I used to always buy chickens whole because you could get them whole cheaper than you could cut up or in packages. So I'd buy my chicken whole and cut it up myself. Nowadays, it's just as expensive to buy the whole chicken as it is to buy the package. So, and sometimes, like at Thanksgiving, if I know I'm going to be by myself and I can't find a turkey that's small enough for me to buy, that's reasonably priced, I'll just buy a hen, a big chicken. And I'll put it in the oven and bake it just like I would a turkey. Make the dressing and everything. But look at this, y'all. Look at that. Isn't that looking good? Look at all that. It's mostly meat in there. I just added 2 pieces of chicken. Could you imagine what it would be if you just chopped up a chicken breast? You could probably make this whole pot of soup with 1 big chicken breast and just chop it up. Try this noodles again. Almost. You're almost done. I know some of you may say, well, oh, I've done that before. But you know, there's a lot of people out there that don't know a whole lot about cooking. There's young people just starting out that don't know a lot about cooking, and even older people that don't know a whole lot because they've never done a lot of cooking would be interested in this. So that's why I do it. Just like one of my subscribers said, because I was thinking about just not showing how to chop onions and chop potatoes and all this stuff up. She says, oh yes you do, you need to do that. You need to show that in your videos, because there's a lot of young people out there that are just starting out in life and they don't know how to cut stuff up like that. They've never had to cut up an onion or chop up a potato. And I never really thought about it like that, but she was right. She was definitely right. Definitely. Get that straightened out a little bit. And see, if I'd have taken the time, I could have broken my lasagna noodles up in smaller pieces, but it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter if you got big pieces or small pieces. It's all in what you like. If you like the bigger pieces, put bigger pieces. If you like the smaller ones, well, chop them up by all means. Recipes are not written in stone, like I've always said. You can always change them, alter them. Do your own thing. Yeah, you know, there's some people out there, if they got a recipe, they think you got to stick to it letter by letter by letter. You don't have to do that. You can substitute things. You can alter that recipe. I mean, some of the basic ingredients you can't change. You've got to have those, but anything else, you can basically do what you want to with your recipe. Oh, I'll be so glad when this weather cools off some. It's just been so hot, so unbearably hot. And I'm losing more and more of my rose bushes and my plants every day. They just can't handle this 108, 109 degree temperature every day with no rain. And when it stays at that temperature every day, it doesn't matter if you water your plants or not. They'll still burn up sometimes, depending on what type of plant it is. I mean, look at this soup. Look at that, how thick and good, and oh, it looks so good. Now you know that is too hot. And I've got all my spices and stuff here. But this is too hot. It's too hot to really try to eat. Look at the steam coming from it. But look how good that looks. Oh my goodness, look how good that looks. All that chicken and the pasta. Y'all take a bite. Oh, forgot. God bless this food and bless all the YouTubers out there. Make sure they have a blessed evening. Thank you. Amen. that is winning, y'all. And I probably shouldn't say that. I'm picking up all these sayings from other people's videos. But that is a winning recipe right there. Just use what you got in your kitchen. You can do the same with beef. You got leftover brisket or something. You got a handful of vegetables. You got some noodles. Make you some beef noodle soup. Y'all take another bite. Mmm. Cooked it just long enough for those beans to get done. Because there's carrots, peas, corn, and you can see there's just a little bit of string beans in there, or green beans. Not much. But y'all, that is good. And you saw how easy it was to make. Already had the chicken cooked. So next time you grill out, throw you a couple of pieces of chicken in your freezer and freeze it. And one night when you don't want to do a whole lot of cooking, pull it out, make you some chicken noodle soup, or make you some beef noodle soup, or beef vegetable soup, whatever. It is so easy to do. And with that, gonna wish y'all a good day. Y'all, thanks for hanging out with me today. Love each and every one of you. Please like, share, subscribe to my videos, and I'll see you on my next one.